Boys and girls, I have just come home from work and it is lunchtime. I haven't had my lunch yet. I am super, super hungry. And look what is on my kitchen table. Haribo. And not just any Haribo, Tang Fastics. The Haribo that everybody knows are the best, the tastiest, the Tang Fastiest. They're my favourite. But you know what? My wife has left a note saying not to eat the Haribo. Don't touch the Haribo until I am home. Why am I not going to eat these Haribo when they're so delicious? Boys and girls, I want to tell you a story just like the situation that I have just experienced. A story where in the Bible, Jesus is tempted to do something, but he resists. He doesn't do it. And so this story is found in the Bible where every story that we read is true. And the story is found in Matthew chapter 4. And if you have a Bible, you might want to look it up after this video. Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 to 11. And the story goes like this. It says, Jesus, who is God's son, was on the earth, and he was in the wilderness, a place where there was nobody else, no other person around, and he hadn't eaten for a very long time. So he was quite hungry, just like me today. I still haven't had my lunch yet. And he was walking along, and the devil, or Satan, came to him, and he said, Jesus, you're so hungry. You're so hungry. You should eat something. He said, because you're Jesus, you can do whatever you want. He said, look at those stones over there. You see those stones? Turn those stones into bread, and you'll not be hungry anymore. Show everyone that you're powerful enough to make bread out of stones, and you'll be full. But you see, Jesus responded and said, actually, Satan, in the Bible, God has written us a note. He's written us a rule, and he says this: man shall not live by bread alone. People on earth, we don't just need food to stay alive. There's actually something more important than food. Can you imagine? More important than Tang Fastics. And he says, man shall live by every word that comes from the mouth of God. That means that the Bible, that is full of all the words from God's mouth, is more important than bread. And he said, Satan, I will not do that because I believe the Bible is more important than making these rocks turn into bread. So the devil said, okay, I'm going to take you somewhere else. And he took him to the very top of the temple, really, really high above all of the other towns and all of the houses. And he said this, he says, if you are the Son of God, if you really are Jesus, if you're really God's son, throw yourself down off the top of this temple, because the Bible says that God will not allow anything to happen to his son, that actually angels will come and look after you. But Jesus said this, well, actually, it does say that in the Bible, but God says this: you shouldn't put God to the test. God has said that he'll look after me, but we have to trust him. You shouldn't test what God says. We must trust the words in the Bible. So again, Satan decided, okay, I'm going to take you somewhere else. So Satan took him to a third place, and he took him up to the top of a really high mountain, just like this, that looked over all of the kingdoms, all of the valleys, all of the cities, and all of the towns. And he said to Jesus, if you bow down to me and worship me now, I will give you all of these cities, all of these kingdoms will be yours to rule over. And Jesus said to him, go away from me, Satan. The Bible says that only God is the true God. We should only serve one God, and that is him. I will never ever bow down to you. Be gone from me. You see, boys and girls, in the Bible, Jesus was tempted just like me today with my Haribos, just like you sometimes maybe in school. There's something that you really want to do, but you know you shouldn't. You're tempted to do it. It might make things a little easier for you, but you know you shouldn't. Jesus was the same as us. He was tempted to make bread out of stones, even though God said that the Bible is more important than that. He was tempted to jump off a building and test God, but God said, no, don't test me. Trust me. Trust the words in the Bible. And finally, Jesus was tempted to bow down to Satan, to actually worship Satan as more important than anyone. But he said, no, I'm going to trust the Bible. I'm going to trust God, who is the one and true God, and I'm going to serve him. Boys and girls, or mums and dads maybe, who are watching along at home, or somebody else, there's a lesson for us in that story too. Whenever we're tempted in a way that we should resist, maybe if you have sweeties at home like me and they look so yummy, but we're told not to eat them, we should probably not eat them. We should obey what we've been told. We should have the same response as Jesus in life, no matter if it's a little temptation or a big temptation in life. Whenever something seems like the easy way out, we should pause and think, but what does God say in the Bible? The Bible's not just a random book of stories, not just a random book of good rules and letters, but actually the Bible is made up of God's words, what God is actually speaking to us now. And when you read the Bible, you're allowing God to speak into your life. And that's what our lesson for this story is. We should trust the words of the Bible, read it and see, okay, how does God want me to live my life? How does he want me to respond to different situations that we find ourselves in? So boys and girls, whenever I think back to my Haribo sitting right here, even though I'm super hungry, I'm going to wait for my wife to come home and we're going to eat them together. I'm going to trust her, just how we should trust the Bible. Boys and girls, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you remember that whenever we're tempted, think Jesus was tempted, but he trusted God. And so whenever we're in a situation where maybe there's an easier way in our mind, pause and think, what does God want us to do? Trust the words of the Bible, and God will care for us.